as I was on TikTok not too long ago, I happened across a story from a white woman in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and it looks like it was somebody who was doing a reaction video to it. Well, she told a very gruesome story that her grandfather actually told her. Check it out.
In North Carolina, near Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and how there was this black man who had done some malfeasance or crossed some sort of line, and all the people in that neighborhood, it was the Box Mountain neighborhood. If you know Winston-Salem, you know that. They were brought together, and there was a big old hog scalding pot. For those of you who aren't Southern, didn't grow up on a farm, a scalding pot is what you put the pork in, the pig, after it's been slaughtered, to scald off the skin and the hair off of the skin so that you can process the meat. It's a pretty grotesque thing. Well, apparently what they did was they took this living black person and they tied him up and they boiled him alive in this pot. And everyone in this little neighborhood, it was a big party. And this was in the early 70s, 1970s, when this story was told to me by my grandfather. I was under 10. His point was, I shouldn't view black people as human. So when you were fighting this new wave of fascism, this racist crap that is coming mainly from the South, but everywhere, it's in the Pacific Northwest, it's up north, it's all over, it's in Europe. Remember that who you were fighting. You were fighting people who see you as less than human. And when you do not believe someone is human, you don't have any qualms about doing things. Know your enemy. We need to get ready for the fight of humanity's life. The soul of our entire species is on the line. I challenge every white person out there who's ever heard a story like the Scalding Pot to share. Spread the word.
So as you heard her, she talked about her grandfather telling her that in the 1970s, this is when he told her the story, that I guess a black man in the town got out of pocket in regards to white supremacy, and they did what she described to him. And she also talked about how her grandfather reminded her that black people aren't human. You shouldn't deem them as human. And so she also went on to say that those attitudes are still around, which is why you're seeing a lot of things go on in the South in regards to the way they're legislating, right? So she basically said it's going to take all of us to change those attitudes and at least be aware of it, right? Now, I want to say right off the top, I hated that story, but I loved that she told the story because it is a reminder to everybody that those things went on, and in the 1970s was not that long ago. I'm 52 years old. I was born in 1971. So I was around then, and I don't care what y'all say, 52 years is not that old. But anyway, I digress. So those attitudes are still among us, because think about other people outside of her grandfather that taught their grandchildren that you shouldn't see black people as humans, and what we did to that black man was the equivalent of what we'll do to a pig, right? Because we know that, especially during slavery, they didn't see our ancestors as people. They saw them as product, right? Or property. And so those attitudes are still going on today, which is why we see a lot of police brutality of black people being treated in the worst way possible, which is also why you'll hear stories of young black teenagers knocking on the door of an unsuspecting white supremacist and being shot. Or how about black men running through neighborhoods and being chased down by white supremacists and murdered? And then, of course, black boys cannot carry cans of iced tea or bags of Skittles because a white supremacist might take it upon himself to do them harm. And so those attitudes are still around. And so, of course, we as black people, we know about those things. We've heard the stories, right? But you hear a lot of deniers, if you will, say, oh, well, that's not going on now. There's no such thing as racism. That was in the slavery days, and that was so long ago. And it's like, no, it wasn't. It's still going on. And there is that woman, and big ups to her for telling that story, because I'm sure she's gotten a lot of backlash from her family who would not agree with her telling that story. But we that's not strange to us. We know that, but other people need to know that. And so that's also why we need our reparations here in this funky country of the United States of America, because there's a lot of people who don't want black people to have it. Those days are over. Just get over it, right? We ain't gonna never get over it. We're never gonna get over it. And even if you write us a check, we ain't gonna get over it, and we will never forgive you for what you've done. And that black man that was treated like that, he belonged to somebody. And I'm sure his family knows what happened to him, and they need a check for what was done to their loved one. So anyway, y'all tell me what you think of this story. And for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra Kaye Show, here on YouTube. Peace.